I actually want to tie it into last week because I didn't send last week. I made it, but I accidentally didn't send it. ha-Hayyim, in his intro to Deuteronomy, had said this whole book, Deuteronomy, not a word of it is from God. It's very radical, but it's all Moses' initiative, meaning he decided that he wants to give this final speech, and therefore everything you read here isn't prophecy, but it's on Moses. So in light of that, the way things are phrased are fascinating. It's also a great way of understanding Moses. It's even if you like his commentary on the Torah. Deuteronomy becomes the first commentary on the previous 4 books. And so in the middle of, right, so he starts with this, that he prayed to Hashem, let me go into the land. And then he says, Ve'ata Yisrael shmai lechukim, and now Israel, listen to these laws so that you can go into the land. And ha-Hayyim notices this idea of this extension of, and now listen to these laws so you can go into the land, implying, I didn't get to go into the land, and there are primarily 2 reasons. And this becomes very interesting. So ha-Hayyim says perhaps he's alluding to 2 things. Because the continuation of the verse says, right, don't add on to the commandments and don't take away from them. Meaning, don't go overboard, but also don't do less than you need to. And we're going to understand something very valuable about this. ha-Hayyim thinks perhaps we're talking about 2 scenarios here. When Moshe talks about not going overboard, he means like what I did with hitting the stone. Because God wanted me to talk to the stone and I hit it, and I'm not getting into how complicated that issue is, but I think it could be an analogy to the way sometimes we're too stringent with commandments. We sometimes think that doing the right thing requires going an extra 9 miles where that is actually not what you should be doing. And Moses wants to say, look, I hit the stone because I had good intentions, I wanted the water already to come out, but I went overboard. So don't go beyond the commandments, meaning, try and be sensitive to when you're doing something that might be going overboard. And what's an example of something that Moses did where perhaps he didn't do enough? And this is another challenge in our lives with Pinchas, with the story of Zimri. ha-Hayyim says, like I explained there, Moses was the one that was supposed to punish everyone, and as a result, he would get the covenant of peace. But Pinchas came along. So that for Moses is an instance where he didn't think he was doing something wrong, but he actually was not doing enough, and it was something he should have done, and he could have stopped it. By the way, also implying that had he been the one to stop Zimri stopping the Midianite, he would have then gotten to go into Israel. So this is kind of Moses' idea. Don't go overboard, don't do less. It's not just about adding commandments, but it's perhaps about given commandments. Don't put upon yourself too many stringencies, like with hitting the stone. And listen to those moments where you think it's not upon yourself, but it's upon you to fix a certain situation. And that's where the challenge is, because at times it's like with the Midianites. Moses thought he was doing what he needed to. Thoughts on the Torah portion of Vayetchanan, the wonderful ha-Hayyim. Shabbat Shalom.